Welcome to working with sketchbook and style guides. However, the start of this illustration sequence starts off with a pencil. So this is a PDF file. I'm just going to go backwards so you can see what's involved with it. Just essentially the putting together of how it looks with just segments of an illustration through to just building the line work with Sketchbook itself. But it actually all started off with just a simple pencil. You'll notice what I've got through here, just on the side there, is HL for horizon line. Now I'm going to go back to what was initially put together. Now this was just a setup. This wasn't traced. This was just put together just as a guide to start off with. Now I've omitted a few things just to keep it nice and simple and work quickly. But there's my scene, and I've just plonked a horizon line just to sit the objects on a piece of work there, and then I've just gone through and done a pencil. So let's just close this and just have a little bit of a look at the stages. So if I just open this up, this was the actual file there. So just drawn on a pad, just fairly small. I think it was about an A3 size pad, but just quickly, and horizon line. Just simplified it down a little bit, and this was actually dropped into Sketchbook. Then I started doing the drawing on top of that. So these are the stages here. Now what I'm going to do is just opening up Sketchbook, or by the way, pencil to style guide. This is a PDF file. I will put the link for this in the bottom credits if anybody's interested in downloading it. So what I'm going to do is just go and have a look at Sketchbook. So here is the pencil that was just brought into a layer on Sketchbook. So if I just turn that off, and I'm going to come back just to my line. So those are my two line layers, just putting it together like so. Now what you've got is rulers and all sorts of things, so I'm going to have a quick look at that just to clean things up. But you'll notice that if I just go back to the pencil there, just turn these ones off, it's really quite rough. So if I get rid of that one as well, just simply no rulers were used, just simply put together, and then it was just built up, and I'll turn that back off. And then from this stage, just to get a feeling of what I wanted for just to build a few segments, just to start establishing the style, is just start painting it in, and you can build up as many layers as you like. So just if I start turning all of these on, so from different highlight layers, of course, like Photoshop, very similar. By the way, Sketchbook, if you save it as a Photoshop, will open straight into Photoshop, but I'll just make sure everything's on, except of course for the initial layer there. So anyway, there's how it looks at this stage. So if I just go and hold my spacebar here, I'm just going to zoom up nice and big, and so there's just example. It's just quite textured. I'll just drop it down a little bit. And Sketchbook is a great program to work with. Now just holding the space bar down, you can also turn your work around to get any on angles. Now you can do this in Photoshop. I must admit, what I do like about Sketchbook, apart from having the rulers, is that it uses every inch of the screen to work with. So anyway, what I'm going to do is just zoom back down there, and just using the arrow keys just to bring it in, maybe just a little bit bigger here. So what I'm going to just show you how this sort of works up. So I'm just going to just basically turn everything off here, just to get the feeling for this. And then we're just going to start just going through really quickly just to get an idea of how this works. As I say, this file's in here just to use an example. I'm just going to show you just a snippet of how we can put it all together. So if I just turn everything back off, all the way down to basically just a blank screen here. Now if I want to add a new layer here so I don't damage anything, I can basically just click anywhere down here and just add a new layer, and it should just be here. So now what you want to do is just give that a name. So I'll just call that, if I bring it in there, I'm just going to call it base art. And in fact I called it base art line if we're going to draw it the line, but I'm going to go base art just to show you what I mean about just drawing up really loosely to begin with. So I've just got base art here. Now I'm just going to go and get my pencil tool. Now you can use any pencil tool you like, and change the pencil by just clicking on that. You can basically go in through it and edit it and make it thicker or thinner, all sorts of things you can do. You can add a lot of extra tools in there. Now there are extra tutorials on the site if you want to learn how to use and create brushes, but I just want to show you how this works together. So I'm just going to stay nice and simple, just with a pencil tool just to begin with. So as I mentioned, I'm just going to do horizon line, and just basically be as loose as you like, just to start getting the feel of things and how they might go together. So remember that I've got, instead of horizon line, I've got basically HR, and I'm just doing that for horizon rule just in this case, but it's just a horizon line. Now this is where the eye is situated. So if I just do a little eye here, there's my eye just looking along that line. So anything that's above, let's just do something really simple here. So I'll just add something simple like a cylinder. So if there was a cylinder there, I'm just going to do circles like so. And always carry on when you're drawing roughly, just carry on the circle shape, otherwise you'll get a very rigid edge on it. And that's why I've carried that around, as rough as that might be. So with the horizon rule, you basically decide on where the vanishing point is as well. But just keep it nice and simple. We're just doing a loose drawing. Don't worry about too much detail. Now, when I said this cylinder shape here, I'm just going to get my rubber here or eraser, and I might just make this a little bit bigger. So if you want to make it bigger, just bring it up like so, and you can just sort of rub out. So there's the top of the line, and there's the bottom of the line. Okay, so if I just go back into my pencil tool here, so we've got this going up the top and this one going down the bottom, because this is where the eye goes through this line here. Okay, so in order to draw this up a little bit better, I've done this incredibly rough. I might have graphics that actually, as the cylinder comes down here, it'll get sort of thinner until this is flat, and this is starting to pick up again. Okay, so does that sort of make sense? So it's like a spring. If you go the center, it's just straight on and it goes up or down. But anyway, let's just put another layer on the top here, and I'm just going to come up and add my extra layer here, and this one I'm going to rename it, and I'll just call that, if I bring it in here, I'll just put it line, okay, or line art. Now we can have any color for the line, we can color it at any stage as long as it's on its own transparent layer. But what I'm going to do with this first one, if I come back here, I'm just going to dull it down, so making sure I'm on the right layer. So it's nice and dull now, so it doesn't get in the way. So, and what you can do is lock that so you don't accidentally click on any layers you don't want. So I'm going to come up to my line art now, and if I want a color, I can just click on the color. In fact, if I bring this in, you can use all sorts of colors like Copic markers, all sorts of things, or just basically activate the color from here. So have a look at some of the tutorials on how to use Sketchbook. It's incredibly fast to learn, and it really relies on drawing, which is really what it should be about. Anyway, I'm just going to stay with my black line, and you can choose any color. If you want a color, for example, that's not there, I can just click on something and sample it, and then basically there's my color up here that I want, and I can actually just drag that down and it's in the color there. So simple as that, but I'm just going to stay on a nice dark color. Maybe I'll stay on just a deep blue sort of thing. Okay, now I can come up, if I bring this in, and I can actually just start using my cylinder tools. So I'll just bring this in up the top here, and basically I've got a bit of a guide. That's why I like to keep the cylinders in there, so you keep it as it should be. And I can just bring that up the top and make it a little bit bigger, and there's my cylinder shape. So I might just bring that around like so, and I'm just going to take it straight down here and now do the bottom piece, because it's basically very centered in terms of above and below. So if it's above, higher, or below, just accordingly match it up, and very simple to do. So I can actually, if I want to give it a bit of distortion, like atmospheric distortion, instead of just getting the ruler line like so, which I'll just take up and I'll put there, and I can match the point, and you see the angle that's down there as you move it around. Like, I haven't done this particularly good, but it should be a 90 degrees angle, but I want to have a little bit more fun with this, so I'm going to go back to the oval tool here, So with this oval tool, I can just rotate it around, and I'm just going to scale it up nice and big, actually a lot more than that, and just squash it in there. I just want to get a little bit of atmospheric perspective, just so that's starting to appear there. And I might just rotate it just a touch around there and just get the angle, the side there. I'm just going to carry on the line so it goes sort of further, just because I want to keep very much my I suppose architectural lines that are coming in there. Okay, so I've probably gone over the top here, but I'm just going to click that in like so, and maybe just to give it a little bit of form and shadow, I'm just going to turn this round like so, and just bring it in a little bit smaller, just to actually start getting, or maybe a bit bigger than that, so I can actually just draw very sort of I suppose a little bit like when you're working with comic art, where you can actually just flow out your line just on the bit of the shadow that's appearing there. Now I need to move that and adjust it accordingly, but as you see, it's starting to come out. Now I could have this line different thicknesses, etc. But what I want to do is I'm just going to stop there, and to get rid of that, I can basically just click on the cross, or you can click it on or off from here at any stage. So, of course, the other thing I just want to keep my perspective line back in here. So if I just bring that in, I'm just going to bring this over here, just match that there. And I want to keep this horizon exact. So if you just have a look down there, it says, you see the angle? And I just want 0. So there, spot on 0. And there's my line just flowing off on the side there. And basically I can just turn that off for the time being. Now what I'm just going to do quickly now is I'm going to turn off my basically base art by turning off like so, and now we've just got our art there, but I am going to just click here to add one layer which will just set on the color here. By the way, you can move it anywhere you want by clicking hold of that, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to name this, and I'm going to just call that, I'll just call it, bring in here and just call it color. I'll just go color like so. So there's the color, and make sure that is selected. Now I'm just going to go to the Airbrush tool just to quickly put things together very lightly just to begin with. So just down there, and I'm just going to choose just a light color, and get this nice and big. Making sure I am on the Airbrush tool, which is that one. Just make sure that's highlighted. And there it is there. And so I'm just going to start just picking up a bit of color and just chucking this in the background. Maybe there's just a bit of a shadow there. Okay, so it's just coming together. Then I'm going to go into the marker tool, and I'm just going to go to a slightly darker color. And what you can do with the markers, work with any angle that you want. So as you see, you can drag it up like so, and if you want it larger, just drag it on the side, so up or down. But I can keep this fairly big, and I'm just going to put this in here, and just going to take this one over here, maybe a little bit lighter just for the shadow here, and there it is, basically just starting to pick up an image. So that's how quick and fast it is to work with. So that's just a quick guide to working with Sketchbook. So I'm just going to turn these off once more, just to go back up here and turn all the rest of the colors back on, which are above that. So I think we start off from this one, this one, this one, and so you can see how it all came together just by slowly working it up. Make sure all of them are on, nothing that's missed there, and just the highlight. And voila, just move that down by holding my spacebar again, and just move it in here. And there you go, just quickly put together, really fast, just a conceptual art style, just to initially get things going. So have a go at it, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to download that file as well if you want it.